Microsoft and Xbox. You know them, you love them, and you hate them. Welcome everyone to Grimmy Vision, and today we're going to be talking about how Phil Spencer has, I believe, saved the Xbox brand for years to come. Now, I know this may be a controversial take since, well, Xbox has had some bad press and some questionable things in the more recent years.
Experience. TV and movies, TV. Xbox, watch TV. TV.
But I still believe overall Phil has done a pretty good job in future-proofing the brand. The idea of Microsoft developing a home gaming console first came about in the late 90s, which at first wasn't looked too seriously upon. But by late 2001, Microsoft had released their new console known as the Xbox to the masses. Now, if you didn't know this already, the name Xbox is actually based off Microsoft's DirectX application made for gaming on Windows, which they took the X out of the name, and since, well, the console was built in a basic black box, they named it Xbox. The first Xbox was a part of the sixth generation of consoles and had moderate success, even after being released over a year after PlayStation 2, which at the time was a stronghold powerhouse, with Sony having dominated the market with the PlayStation 1. But the Xbox had many features that would soon make its successor, the Xbox 360, become the most dominant gaming console of the seventh generation, even although, after the times, the PS3 had sold more consoles at the end. But the reason why the Xbox dominated this console generation is because Sony lost its image. They went too far into the PS3's development. It was complicated to make games for, had way too many features people didn't want on a console, and was heavily overpriced for the time. See, Sony took the PS3 and sort of turned into a home media console rather than focus on what a console should be, which is for gaming. Eventually, Sony fixed this problem with the new versions of the PS3, such as the Slim version, which dropped the price significantly, but the damage was done. Xbox 360, the whole package, was just a lot better overall, even with paying for the gold subscription at the time. The console was for gamers. The controller was better, it had Xbox Live parties, they even had a red ring of death problem.
This is perfect Walmart advertising for you.
But people didn't care. They just wanted a gaming console, and that's all they cared about. Now, come off a wild success with the Xbox 360 and becoming the head of the gaming industry with massive anticipation from your consumers, and watching your main rival in competition fail, trying to make a gaming console in the home media center, you would think they would be able to read the market and make a great product for their audiences, right? Right? Well, that didn't happen. And here we come into the 8th generation of consoles with the PS4 and the Xbox One, which Microsoft and Don Madrick, the head of Xbox at the time, decided they were going to create a part 2 of the PS3. It was a failure. They pushed using the console for, home media entertainment. First unveiling, they mentioned how it can be used to watch TV more than what it can actually do for gamers.
Television. I'm thrilled to announce a live-action Halo television series.
Television, TV, sports.
Television, TV.
They pushed the whole Kinect thing onto everyone, trying to cater to the Nintendo Wii audiences.
Whoa, look at those mermaids! Dark waterfall! Whoa!
It also had major restrictions with the console. You couldn't game share, the Kinect had to always be connected to the Xbox with the camera being always on. The console wouldn't work if not connected to the internet, and the kicker on this, when asked by media, Don Madrick's response was, well, we still sell the Xbox 360 for people that can't always have an internet connection.
Games and entertainment, the functionality of the box, some of the advantages that you get of having a box that is designed to use an online state. So that, to me, is a future-proof choice, and I think people could have arguably gone the other way if we didn't do it, and fortunately we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360, that's your message if you don't,
Well,
people don't like
It was doomed from the start. On top of all this, it was $500, which was overpriced for the target price of the console at the time. The release was so bad, Sony mocked them on stage during their release of the PS4.
This is how you share your games on PS4. Thanks.
PlayStation.
Because they just said, hey, we weren't going to lessen with the PS3, here's the PS4, which is pretty much exactly what everyone wanted. It was also $100 cheaper. After this dumpster fire, Don Madrick left the company, and here comes Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer had been involved with the Xbox pretty much since the start of the brand back in 2001, rising through the ranks until reaching vice president in the late 2000s. Once Don left, he he was promoted to the president of the Xbox brand. Now, I know he was VP of the Xbox during the development of the Xbox One, but he took the company and saw the future version of the gaming world. And over the last decade, his vision was correct. Going back to the PS3 and Xbox 360 days when Sony messed up, they were able to change and fix their mistakes and not feel any repercussions from it. The Xbox One, well, Microsoft weren't really able to fix the mistake. The 2000s, the whole online gaming and online in general was still rapidly expanding, where you could play games online with your friends, but, well, if you wanted a new game, you wouldn't buy it off the PS Store or the Xbox Store. No, you would drive to your local GameStop or Best Buy, spend hours waiting for a midnight release, or would have to wait until the end of grocery shopping with your mom to finally go get the game you wanted. This changed during the PS4 and the Xbox One cycle, where more and more people wouldn't be buying their games in physical stores, but in the online stores. A few buttons and a credit card, and your game is happily downloading in the back room. Now, by people doing this, you would eventually develop a game library on the system you're using, which, moving into the 9th generation cycle with the Xbox Series X and S, and the PS5, people had these massive libraries built up already, and since more people bought the PS4, Sony had a massive grip on the industry. All those people that bought PS4s were more likely to get a PS5 because they can now use the PS5 to play all their PS4 games. Phil Spencer had recognized this pretty much from the start. So what did Phil Spencer do? Well, I wouldn't say he stopped caring about the physical console, but he did. He turned to Microsoft's massive piles of money and just started buying up game studios left and right. They acquired Mojang in 2014, ZeniMax, which Bethesda being the main studio from the purchase. The most recent and biggest purchase was announced in early 2022 for $68.7 billion was the Activision Blizzard brand, which, as you know, controls Call of Duty and Overwatch. In total, Microsoft has spent almost $85 billion acquiring all these game studios. They become a major monopoly in the industry. But this was the end goal of Spencer's vision. If you can't win the hardware war, well, just sell your games on everyone else's hardware. Sort of like the rest of the Microsoft brand, which they are primarily based on being a software company, not a hardware one. Spencer also introduced Game Pass, which is a subscription-based service which allows you to pay a monthly fee to play over hundreds of games. The original identity of the Xbox, which was a home gaming console, is no longer what it is, but the evolved version into being an online software brand. The world has changed. Everything is bought online, gone is cable TV, and in is online services. Spotify, Netflix, Game Pass, etc. He recognized this shift early enough to put the brand of Xbox in a strong position for years to come. Eventually, the Xbox console might not even be a thing anymore. With people primarily buying PlayStations and the major shift to gaming PCs, what is the point in making a home console anymore? See, the consoles themselves, they don't actually make the companies any money. They actually lose the company's money. They were just sold at a loss to get you in on their platform and make up the money on the games and services they would sell to you. But now if you have access to every platform due to owning game studios and a less restricted ecosystem, what's the point anymore to take those losses on a console? I personally believe the next generation, the 10th gen, will be the last Xbox, which I will discuss why this is bad for the industry in a future video. But until then, everyone, thank you for watching. And this is my first video, and it'd be greatly appreciated if you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time.